Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nate Matthews Leader, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Maggie and Tim, and we are the Inside Agents. On this weekly podcast, we'll be discussing hot topics around football and the sports industry from two agents' perspectives.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Inside Agents. I'm Nate Matthews Leader, and I'm joined by my co-host, Maggie Intim, and we are covering the Inside Agents are doing Inside Football, Part 2. What we're going to dive into right now is the first professional soccer league to come back in America. Maggie, can you let us know what that league is?
So that league is one of my favorites, the National Women's Soccer League. Or wait, let me stop. Actually, welcome to our audience that is tuning into the Inside Agents. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Now, we're going to dive right into it. So, of course, as my co-host Nate mentioned, there is the first major professional soccer league that is going to resume playing sports in North America, which is the National Women's Soccer League. And they're actually starting more so with a Challenge Cup, which is something a little bit different. And I'm super excited. I mean, it's taking place on my birthday. I mean, it's women. It's like the perfect situation. So the Challenge Cup, which is presented by Procter & Gamble as well as Secret, and also other partners and sponsors like Budweiser and Verizon. And I'm excited because it's going to be aired on CBS, so that's going to be great. And this tournament starts on June 27th, and it's a 25-game tournament. And for each day that they have selected for these women to take place and play, it's going to be 2 different matches with 4 different teams. And I'm really super excited. Definitely shout out to Lisa Bird, the new CMO of the Women's League. She was very responsible, and has done a lot to bring back the sport. And hats off to her. It's a woman.
Yes.
Where
can we talk about the women are actually headed to Utah?
Yep.
I know other professional teams are headed to Orlando, but we'll touch on that later. Maggie, I'm just going to say I'm excited, one, because football is back in North America. And let's be real, our women's team are World Cup champions. So literally the League of the Champions is back.
Tell them, preach.
It's very, very exciting. And also U.S., I'm glad that U.S. Soccer and the Women's League was able to get this done. Yes. And I think it's going to be very competitive. And we all know North Americans love the tournament format. And to be honest, they announced their return to play first. And it seems like the MLS followed their same protocol because they're doing a group and then knockout stage as well. So the women are leading the way. The women are leading for all sports in North America.
Yes, they are. So it's all eyes on the women. And first of all,
no fans still.
No fans, yep, still closed door. But if they have family members, they get a chance to kind of go out and see. And that was a part of their, structuring for their, contract negotiations and all of that. And I think that was amazing to include the family. It's so important, especially for the mothers who have children, whether it's someone like Sarah Golden or Sydney LaRue, to include their family is awesome. So that's amazing. And when we talk about this tournament, so when it comes to the women's league, when it comes to the women's league, I have players that I like. And then I have certain clubs. My favorite club, or a club that I will say that grew on me, is NC Courage for sure. And we also know they're like the fan favorite, and they're also starting. They're opening that tournament. But I also like Chicago Red Stars. And so the fact that both of the 2 clubs that I like are starting on the 27th, I'm super excited to see both teams play. I also like Sky Blue. But I will say, in the very end, I feel that NC Courage is going to take it.
I totally agree with you. I think North Carolina's definitely going to take it. They are the favorite. Come on, let's talk about the players that they have. They have Abby in the back. The
Crystal
midfield,
Dunn.
we have Crystal in the middle with Sam, and then Jess up front, Jess McDonald. So they have
but wait a second. But Nate,
those are 4 World Cup winners. No, those are 4 World Cup winners.
But see, and it's not even just the
on
winners.
One squad.
That's also the one squad that, they just recently signed their college draft pick players. So I'm excited to see like Addison, Lindsay from Canada. Ali Watt. She's a beast.
Yeah,
she's one hell of a forward. So it's exciting for them, and congratulations once again to you ladies that all were signed from to NC Courage. I know Sky Blue also signed a couple of players as well, so I'm really excited for all of them, and I feel like it's just going to be really exciting and really competitive. So you're saying that you're going with NC Courage to win it all?
They're the favorites to win it all. I think they're gonna win it
all.
No.
See, it's not about them being the favorites. It's about
what's
your choice. Yes.
Are two different. Who I want to win, and I know it's gonna be a long shot, is Washington Spirit. Literally just because Shayna Williams Matthews, I know her personally, and like I grew up watching her play, and she comes from the same area in Georgia as me, so I really just want to see her ball and like score. And she's a Jamaican.
She's dope.
She's quick, athletic, strong. If she gets a couple goals, it'll be very, very interesting for them. I do like I'm not gonna say I don't like NC, because who doesn't like Crystal Dunn? She's
former champion.
Big time. She's big time. She's big time. So but we all know in tournaments I like it because it could go any way. Anyone can win on any.
Very true.
So
very true.
I like the tournament format because we can see a few upsets. We might. I think at the end of the day, Houston's going to be interesting to look at.
Yes.
I know their goalkeeper, Jane Campbell, also grew up in Georgia, same area as me. She did feature for the U.S. national team a few times, so she can prevent some shots going in. Good for her. Chicago Red Stars have a strong back line, so.
Oof. Chicago. Shout out to Sarah Golden. Hey, Sarah. Sarah's awesome. Yes, Chicago. They're a beast.
I'm just, and it's kicking off on your birthday, so shout out to you. Shout out to the women. I'm gonna be tuned in because.
Same here with my drink and goodies.
Exactly.
Maybe birthday cake or early stuff.
It's also on the agency side. It's cool because, like you mentioned, the contracts. I haven't seen real short-term contracts like that in women's soccer.
Yes.
I haven't seen it, but for us to get some short-term contract for the women you just mentioned, congrats to them because we're all going to be looking. They have something to play for.
And we can get into the whole short-term contracts. Just overall, agents representing women. That's a whole nother conversation. But ladies, myself, Nate, we are here.
Agents,
if you're looking,
let's talk about them deciding to go to Utah instead of Orlando, where everybody else is headed.
Yeah, that's a good one.
To be honest, I'm not gonna lie. When I heard they weren't going to Orlando, I was shocked personally because we all know the facilities in Orlando. They have 30 full-size fields. So to fit all those teams playing, I thought, wow, like when I heard women's returning, I was like, yeah, they're probably going to go to Orlando, like the MLS decided, and even the NBA decided. But it looks like Utah's a better place because we talk about Corona and what's happening in Florida. They passed 100,000 cases, and one team has definitely dropped out. Orlando decided that they had 10 positive cases, so they're no longer attending. And to be honest, I was excited to see Orlando play.
Yeah.
Because Orlando was one of my favorites as well on the women's side.
Yeah,
so
it's unfortunate.
They were one of the favorites. So
yeah, speedy recovery for those players that tested positive, and I know it sucks for the staff and the players and the team. Especially for the veterans. So people like Sydney LaRue that was looking forward to it. She was going to bring her kids and family. So It's unfortunate, but speedy recovery to those guys, and hopefully the women's league will work something out. Maybe those players who were affected can go through the whole quarantine for like maybe for 2 weeks, and then maybe send the ones that tested, negative and that they're able and ready to play. Maybe they can work something out in that way, as opposed to saying, okay, we're just going to withdraw everyone from this, because it boils down to whether it's fair or not fair, but it's
I will say
exciting either way.
also about Orlando, they had the sickest jerseys. I'm not gonna lie. I would purchase an Orlando jersey.
I like
think
Orlando, but honestly, I'm gonna go with the thorns on this one. I'm gonna go with the thorns on this one.
The thorns do have some.
Listen, the
Portland.
Yes.
Put out some nice jerseys, but
yes,
the Orlando ones, when I saw it, I was like, man,
it's kind of sick though. Yeah,
they have some good jerseys in the women's league. And for the viewers who haven't checked out women's football, I'm not gonna lie, I do think the women's have better jerseys than MLS.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Sorry, hey, to my guys at Adidas, I love you, but hey, the women's league definitely jerseys are better. Let's just.
I mean, but who also sponsors those jerseys at least? So you're actually wearing the hat. Yeah. We almost should have switched places with the hats today, but it's all good. I love them all.
Exactly. Now, more on North American soccer. Kevin Durant becomes the second NBA player to invest in an MLS squad, the third in total. We talk about LeBron James and his investment in Liverpool. So it's LeBron has an investment in Liverpool. We have James Harden, who has an investment in the Houston franchise. And now we have KD, who's with the Philadelphia Union.
And before KD, and I'd probably say maybe even before James Harden, we couldn't forget about Russell Wilson and Ciara.
Yeah,
But if we're talking athletes, Russell Wilson definitely has that ownership. It's been about a year, about the same time as James Harden. So he has a very hefty. He's got a hefty percentage in Seattle Sounders, and so, I mean, the KD situation is good. I think it's a 5% stake. So he also has the ability to. He has the option to get another 5%, which is not bad. And I think. What are your thoughts on him?
I mean, the franchise valued at $240 million. So
yeah, but what do you think? Because I know in the past he was trying to get ownership in DC United. So what are your thoughts on him doing that with Philadelphia Union? When we look at all of the MLS clubs, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think he should have maybe even said, okay, I'm gonna try to get investment in Red Bulls because I'm playing for the Nets? Or do you think the Philadelphia Union works in his case? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it just came down to what was closest to home for him, to be honest. Because we all know he's from the Washington, D.C. area, so it made sense for him to get stake in D.C. United. We see James Harden's in Houston, and he got the Houston franchise on his back. Russell's playing in Seattle, got the Seattle on his back. So I think that he really wanted D.C. United, like we all know that. In his heart, he wanted the DC United franchise, but I think what it came down to is who was the next closest franchise, and it was Philly, surprisingly enough. Now, me personally, Philly's franchise, I like at the youth level. At the youth level, Philly has some great young players in their academies, and their academies do fairly well. The professional side of Philadelphia, not sure about. But I think it's a great investment for KD because we both know, surprisingly, the MLS is the most profitable league in North America because of the salary cap. So the owners are making money. MLS is making money. It's a growing league. So a smart investment if KD wants to venture out and to do like another sport in North America makes sense.
Do you think we'll see more?
Do I think what?
Do you think we'll see more players, more NBA players, or just athletes, other athletes, non-soccer athletes, making those investments into MLS?
You know who I'm surprised to see who would not make investment as of yet? I know Serge Ibaka is a big football fan. We know Giannis is a big football fan. A lot of the
Joel
NBA
Embiid
players,
as well.
Joel Embiid, a lot of those
But maybe those
African
guys would be next.
players. Yeah, that's why I think it's a good start because a lot of those players with the backgrounds that are from Europe or from Africa are big fans of football and probably played football first. So it's very interesting to me that James Harden, KD, and LeBron are the first to do it. To be honest, of the basketball players, but I think it opens the doors for a lot other players to get some ownership, and it also for us it's good because it also shows that there's diverse ownership in these clubs.
Absolutely.
So for me, it's a win for everybody because the basketball fans are going to be more interested in Philadelphia. KD's going to be a spokesman for it. We know that they
Football
have
fans, well,
ownership.
NFL, NFL
NFL
fans too. Because if you look at what Russell Wilson has done, it makes sense because he's playing for Seattle, Seahawks, and but he's actually just an all-around athletic person.
athletic person.
A huge
Exactly.
fan
And
of
we've
all
seen
sports, so it works.
even James Harden was in London with Arsenal and kicking the ball around with some players. We all know
I remember that.
R.I.P. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. But we know Kobe was a huge football fan as well. And looking back, I really wish I would have seen him be one of the first investors.
Yes, oh my gosh, yes, and especially because he played the sport too, and he played it in Italy. He didn't even play it like in America. We're talking about in Italy and Europe, and so rest in peace to Kobe. It's still unreal. My prayers are still with his family because that's such a tough loss. I mean, anytime you talk about sports and all this stuff, I can't get over it. But yeah, rest in peace.
In regards to MLS, and now we're talking about diverse ownership. Let's jump into the MLS Black Players Coalition that was created.
Yeah. So before we even dive into this coalition, MLS is returning finally. They're returning July 8th. July 8th. So pretty much like about a week after the women. Are you excited for that, Nate?
Am I excited?
Are you excited? You don't seem too excited. I don't know. Are you excited?
MLS, I'm excited to return because there were some teams that I was really excited to see. The tournament format we'll dive into later. There are some groups that I think are a lot tougher than others. I don't know how that happened, but there's some groups that are looking a lot tougher than others. But overall, I'm excited for it to come back. I'm excited to see the expansion teams like Inter Miami, Nashville for sure. I'm excited.
Yeah.
What club was it? There was another club I can't remember off the top of my head who just started building their academy facilities and like $40 million they invested in it this week.
Was it Cincinnati?
No, it wasn't Cincinnati. It was one of the expansion teams. One of the newer teams. Maybe it was Cincinnati. It might have been Cincinnati.
Probably, or unless you're talking about Columbus. Yeah, because Columbus is also doing work too.
As well. Yeah. And there was another one that was named this week. So I'm very excited for MLS to come back. I'm excited because, one, like I've mentioned before, the youth leagues are done. So are any MLS teams going to bring up their academy players to play in the tournament? Because we all know 5 subs are allowed now. You can name a roster of 9 on the bench. So are we going to see more youngsters featuring in the tournament? It's going to be very, very, very interesting. I know I've seen a few of the youngsters that I know. They're all training at the U19 level. Some are training with Inter Miami right now. Some are training with Columbus. Some are in training with TFC. So I'm excited for them, to be honest. I hope they do find some minutes to play. But MLS is returning. Is Florida the safest place? Do you think they'll cancel it? With the cases that they've had in Corona, I mean, let's talk about over the last week, they've had at least 10,000 cases in Florida.
Yeah,
So
it's
they
tough.
passed the 100,000 mark. We saw with Orlando's women dropping out. They had 10 positive corona
Yeah.
cases. What does that mean for Orlando City's men? Do they have any cases? They share the same
They
facilities.
don't. They don't.
Oh, they don't?
But, well, to my
Oh, you mean the men
knowledge,
don't have any cases?
yeah, to my knowledge, as of right now, we don't know, right? But they are going to be testing them frequently. And what I find so interesting is that around the same time, the NBA, most of those guys will be making their way down there as well.
Yep.
So I mean, even though it may not be the same exact facility, but they're going to be in the same area. So there's going to be a lot going on. It's going to be a lot going on in Orlando.
Literally, for our viewers who don't know the, let's say the landscape, I should say, of the facility that they're playing at. You walk into the facility. There's a building on your left, which is where the basketball games will be held. So Disney has like 3 buildings, which is literally the basketball courts that every football player has to walk past to get to the soccer fields. Every single one. You have to go right down those stairs to pass the basketball courts. And most of the bathrooms are inside of the basketball facilities as well. People who don't know that. So there will definitely be some people engaging in definitely cross-mixing of the sport. It will be very interesting to see how they try to regulate that because there are no locker rooms there. I'm not sure if they're going to bring portables to the facilities and have each team have their own portable, but I know for sure the only way you can literally walk through that Disney complex for the soccer players, they have to pass the basketball courts. Have to. So,
well, you know what? Let's just send them all our prayers. But we'll see. We'll definitely keep our eyes and ears open.
And prayers.
And prayers for the next at least week and a half. You never know. Every day it's something different. So we'll see what's going to happen. But like you mentioned before, when we talk about MLS, we talk about something that launched on June 19th, last week. Something game-changing, crazy, game-changing is what I will say. Game-changing. So the Black Players Coalition. I mean, kudos to the guys for doing this because it takes a lot of courage to stand up for what you believe in and know that it could possibly go against, the practices of organizations. And it could also cause a lot of friction. But in this case, it seems like it's something good. And the Black Players Coalition, Nate, do you want to get into that a little bit about what it is? Or
definitely.
Do you want me to get into it? Whichever you prefer.
No, the Black Players Coalition is a new organization. This is coming from them. A new organization that will address racial inequalities in the MLS and stand with those who are fighting racism in the world of soccer. And also, they plan to positively impact Black communities across the United States and Canada. Now, I already know that they have gotten an investment of $75,000 to pump into certain communities. Kudos to them. There's also what we know of 70 Black players have already joined the coalition. Mm-hmm. So they will have a voice, and they are working alongside the Players Association and MLS. And shout out and kudos to MLS for backing them as well.
Absolutely.
Because I know that is, you can look at it 2 ways. One way you can look at it is they really have no choice in our world that we're living in now. If you don't back them, what does that look like for the league? If you do back them, you get a pat on the back, but really you should, because people are fighting for equality. There's no reason why they shouldn't be backed by the organization they play for. Big shout out, like you said, Justin Morrow for getting this done.
Yes, Justin.
He is the executive director of the Black Players Coalition. He is
the board of members too. Yes, he's playing in Canada.
Playing in Canada, he's right up the street from me. Hopefully, I can have some of my young players talk to him because I think it's very important to bridge that gap. those guys.
Absolutely.
But I think the group overall has a good agenda. The execution of the group, we're still gonna wait and see. Now, I'm also waiting to see the backing of MLS, what that really means,
Exactly.
and
what that looks like, and what that
what
action plan is, because that's
what it
important.
actually looks like in the action plan for it. I also would like to see how what they mean by they're trying to positively impact the Black communities. Does that mean they're gonna have more scouts there? Are they gonna bring more football players into the communities? Are they gonna bring more fans into the stadiums? What does that actually look like for
Right.
for the community that's being impacted? Um, there's a lot of questions. I think it's a good starting point, and I think that as this coalition gains more traction, a lot of people will follow suit. I think there was space maybe from an outside for them to add other people or leagues, maybe. But I understand it did happen quickly. It did happen on Juneteenth. It's a great start to the actually just bridging the gap between football, Black culture, soccer, MLS, getting players the rights that they deserve. So I back it. I support it. I think it's a great job. Maggie, what do you think?
I agree. I couldn't agree more with you. I think it's cool. I think it probably would have been it probably would have been even bigger if they,
Yeah.
brought others within, right? So whether that was other leagues like USL or the women's league, but I think just to get the 70 Black players alone within that's good in itself. Um, and then also to
Especially
get
in
the
the time
backing of
frame
MLS. Exactly. And to get the MLS involved, like to bring them to actually say, okay, we're going to meet you guys halfway and work something out. I think that's amazing. Um, and I like their hashtag, MLS is Black. It's interesting
yeah.
because it makes you wonder too, with the percentage of players that are playing in MLS, how many are Black, and are Blacks dominating the MLS?
And
So
also,
it's interesting.
that's a great point
But
to bring
as
up
an
because
agent too, and as an agent, I will say that I support it. I've had some conversations with some of those guys, and even they were shocked to know that an agent would support them. And I said, well, yes, of course. That's part of our job as being agents. Like we have to look out for our plays. We have to look
that
out for our guys, no matter what. So
and
I'm in support, and Nate, I know that you're in support. So
oh
guys,
yeah,
Justin
definitely.
Morrow, the whole MLS team, and just all you guys that are a part of the Players Coalition, we are supporting you guys, and
And
we stand
also,
with you guys.
I just want to touch on this as well, just to talk on MLS is Black. For people who don't know, it's a hashtag play on the words MLS is back, because once MLS came back, they started using that hashtag. Players use it. But now, will this mean for MLS, are they going to implement a quote unquote Rooney rule like in Europe in the FA? Well, the English FA, which means that you have to interview a minority for the coaching role and the
Mm.
sporting role. So, will
You
that
you
now
done open up
will
a whole nother.
for me,
Ooh,
I
that's
think
a whole nother layer.
representation matters in all avenues. So for the players to do it, it's very cool. But when we're talking about us getting at the table and dictating
Hmm.
change, what does that look like? Like, are we going to be more represented? Because there's only two Black coaches that in the MLS, one being Thierry Henry from France, the other one being from
Robin
Jamaica.
Fraser.
There's no
Hmm.
American coaches out there.
I'm glad you said that.
So does
No
that mean,
American coaches.
will the coalition help fight for more coaches in, let me say, not coaches, head coaches in the professional level? Because there
Maybe.
are, but to only have, well, to have zero. Let's be real. There's zero. There's zero American born African American coaches that these players can even go to. who will understand and have their back when you have a lot of talented coaches that are black. Let's look at Jermaine Jones. Let's look at Eddie Johnson, what he's doing in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at
DeMarcus
Jermaine
Beasley.
Jones. DeMarcus Beasley has his franchise coming. Congrats to him for getting that done. But it's like, are they going to get the support they need? We've heard discussions of them not getting it so far. I don't want to say it's strictly on race. I was never a person to say it's strictly because of this. Yeah. But the conversation has to be had as to why these guys are not in the U.S. youth soccer system when they've played at the highest level in U.S. youth soccer, especially if you're playing in Europe.
And I think also, too, to even piggyback off of what you were saying, and you touched on a lot of good points as far as coaching, you know, obviously we have these discussions, us as agents, right? And what we go through just as Black agents. So it's like, is MLS saying, okay, maybe we'll work with you guys to reach out to like a Nate or Maggie to come on board and actually to work collectively, you know, to represent some of these guys, or even attorneys, or better yet, the board of directors. What does that look like? Because we see what everyone is doing with these corporations, but my biggest question with MLS is, can we look at your board of directors group and see a minority? I mean, we saw what UEFA did last week as well, bringing in the first minority, let alone the first Black man. And I'm just like, wow, if it was a few months ago, prior to everything that was happening, would that even... Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to say MLS is bad on that side, because they've hired Theory and Robin, you know, Frazier before. But now with everything that's happening, are they going to look at maybe, like you said, opening up the doors to let more coaches in, and to really start looking at what you have in America here, to say, okay, maybe DeMarcus Beasley is worthy of being a head coach, or even an assistant coach for that matter. So it's something that we have to keep our eyes on, and just we just gotta wait and see.
There's definitely a few coaches I know for sure that should have gotten a nod. Like, even if you talk about, like, let's take Brian Haynes, for example, who's been at Houston forever and even developed some of the top players. And he's been overlooked as well for many coaching jobs, but he's been a great assistant. So that's something else that we'll talk about. Now, I discussed the Rooney Rule and the English FA. Let's talk about the EPL coming back. Maggie, the weekend of came back. Congrats to the English Premier League. They've been great.
One of my favorite leagues.
They did have a kneel for George Floyd and just social justice and equality. Then every football club wore Black Lives Matter on the back of their jersey. If you guys haven't seen it, we posted a photo on our Instagram of a sample of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang on Arsenal. Yes. I think it was great because we all know the Premier League has the biggest viewership in football in total. And Raheem Sterling has been very vocal about how he's felt about football. Marcus Rashford has done a brilliant job in using his voice to help all the youth have free food when they go to school, because we all know that in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food and shelter is the first thing you need. And before you can even think about like sports and luxury, are the players coming to training even eating? Like, what does that look like? So thank you, Marcus, for getting that done. Very appreciative of that. Results-wise, the teams were looking rusty. The teams at the top were looking rusty.
Well, before we get into the results, I just wanted to touch on the point of the jerseys and the kits having the Black Lives Matter. So each club will have that, and that is really for the first 12 matches. So I wondered, why 12? Why that number? But then also the same question that we asked even about MLS, what's next? What does that really mean? Does that mean that, you know, the Premier League is going to say we're going to hire minorities to come and work, you know, on the corporate side? You know, it's the same questions that we've been asking for so long. But I'm excited that the Premier League is back, though. I'll say that. And I thought that was cool. I thought that was really cool for them to put the patches on the shirts for Black Lives Matter and each player and clubs taking a kneel. I thought that was symbolic.
Yeah.
And honestly, they were going hard, like really hard, even a lot stronger than even America. So that's kind of where MLS. I'm curious to see what's going to happen.
Now,
with
let's
MLS.
see. Do you think MLS, Maggie, between you and me, do you think MLS are going to put Black Lives Matter on the back of their kits?
That's a good question. It might, probably so. I think so. I think the coalition is going to talk with them and possibly say either we're going to do that, or the players themselves is going to come up with a way to really show their solidarity for Black Lives Matter and express themselves. So we just gotta wait and see, man. After July 8th, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I'm excited.
Very interesting. I also think that I would like to give a shout out to Alphonso Davies and Bayern Munich for winning the league. What is this? This is our ninth.
But this is what? Hold on. See, because I know that we were talking about the Premier League.
I don't want to talk about Arsenal, to be honest.
Why you don't want to get into Arsenal? I don't want to talk about. Like, what's going on with your club? What's going on with your club, bro? What is going on? Like, I mean, let me tell you something. I was happy for Chelsea because in the beginning I was like, whoa, they may not make it. But when they came back, I said, wow, that's Chelsea for you. But every match that I watched from Liverpool, Man United, I watched 2 Arsenal matches, and I just was like, what is going on?
Okay, I'm going to say this. One, the only team that looked good, like they were ready to play, was Manchester City, of the top teams. Manchester City won 3-0 against Arsenal. Then they came back and won 5-0 on Monday. So between 2 games, they scored 8 goals. Brilliant. I mean, they looked really good. Man City, shout out to you guys. Shout out to Pep. Well done.
Shout out to Man City, but Arsenal's looking like Arsenal and Liverpool, the way they were playing, they looking like they need to go back in quarantine because I don't know what's going on. I said, but wait a minute, you had all these months. What's going on? I know you had time off, but like, what's going on?
No, for sure.
Arsenal, they need to go back. They need to go back in quarantine. Honestly, they need to quarantine for about maybe another month or so, and then come back. I'll say that, but we're gonna keep our eyes on them and see what's happening with that. Because I like I said, I'm excited.
Okay, so let's talk about transfers now, because we know that certain players' contracts are ending June 30th.
Yes.
And certain players have decided they're not playing unless the club offers them a new contract, or they're going to, like, let's look at Ryan Fraser versus David Luiz. Let's talk about David Luiz. David Luiz was on the bench for Arsenal, came on against Man City, got a red card and sent off. Then after he got sent off, his contract will expire before he can play again.
Wow.
So he's going to miss the next couple of games, which brings him into July when he could play again. But his contract ends June 30th. Now, the FA just came out with regulations stating that the players who are out of contract June 30th need to get an answer from the club by the 23rd at midnight, whether they're going to re-sign them on a short-term contract. And the short-term contract basically means that they keep the exact same salary that they have had for the remainder of the season, exact same terms, all of that, just until it takes them to the end of the league. Or they tell the players June 30th, you're going to become a free agent. You're completely done. So there are a couple of players in the Premier League whose contracts are expiring. Some have come out and said, listen, I'm not re-signing. There's no way you're getting me to resign. Some have decided they're not going to play. David Luiz, instance, he decided that he was going to help Arsenal and see out his contract, but it may have hurt his transfer value. Well, it definitely did, because after that 20-minute performance, there's no club in their right mind who would pay what they would have paid for him before that happened, or would be willing to. So one of those instances where the agent, are you protecting your player and saying, hey, go out there and play? or hey, don't play until they offer you a new contract and just focus on renegotiating it. Some players, it's benefited them. David Luiz took a gamble; it didn't pay off, but he could have came in and have been the hero and got himself a new contract too. So very interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, the transfer market is always transfer window is always interesting for me. I love it. I mean, obviously for us, it's our good time because it's what we really prepared for with our careers, right? We prepared
Yeah,
for that as agents to be able to handle that because that's probably the most critical time of our careers is the transfer windows, and especially for this one, just dealing with the global pandemic, it's a lot different. But it's different because we did say that before, but I'm starting to see certain things happening. But I still feel that it's the window is better for a lot of the free agents. And I think, for a lot of the free agents, I don't know if you guys are represented by agents, but I would definitely consult with your agent to figure out what's the best move so that you don't have a situation, like our friend did at Arsenal. And if you don't have an agent, I would advise you to get one, especially during this window and this time, because it's important. And if you try to do it yourself, good luck. But you might want to consult with an agent
for sure.
during this period.
And also, UEFA has decided to push the date back on the transfer window to October 5th.
Yes, to October. I saw that.
So
Yeah.
that gives us even more time because we all know Champions League is coming back as well in August. August, it ends. September. Usually, for those who don't know, usually the transfer season ends August 31st or September 1st, depending on which league you are in Europe. So it gives clubs an extra month and a couple of days to get the deals done that they need to get done and actually assess the market. Let's talk about PSG and what they're doing right now. So the French league, we all know, we've talked about it before, have canceled their season. So they're not playing. But Champions League is coming back. So the French teams are still in Champions League. They are returning to train. But how do you think that's going to suit them, Maggie? I know you have clients out there getting back to training.
I think it's going to suit them well. I think the guys, returning back to training, their mindset is focused on Champions League and winning. That's what their mindset is on. So I think it's going to serve them well. It's unfortunate that the league as a whole had to cancel, but of course we understand as well. We understand that as well. So I think it's exciting. I think it's exciting when we discuss that. There are other leagues that are going to resume to play as well. So it's exciting.
Now, let's talk about me personally. I think it's going to be very interesting for those French teams for the sole fact that every other top league came back and they're getting games in. So for the French players,
I see what you're saying.
First game, and we know that Champions League now, for those who may not know, is a single elimination now. You don't have the home and away leg. It's just one leg. So you have teams that are playing 10 games, and then you have a team like PSG who's literally played none or no competitive games where if they do end up playing a scrimmage, it doesn't really mean anything. The players aren't trying versus teams that are fighting to win leagues. So for them to play their first game.
I don't mean to cut you, but can you walk through briefly, explain Champions League to our audience that may not be familiar with what the Champions League is and how that works?
Okay, so when before COVID ended, the Champions League is Europe's top tournament where they take the top clubs and the winners of each league in Europe and bring them together to play basically an all-star tournament of the teams in Europe. So the group stage has already been played. Then we started the knockout round. So usually the knockout rounds, you play a home and away leg. So you'll play one team home, and then a couple of weeks later you'll play them away, and then goal differential will decide it. Now, the only game that traditionally was a single elimination was the final. With COVID, they decided that they're going to bring it to one location and they're going to play it over 3 weeks, which is a single elimination tournament. Which, for me, I like the idea of the single elimination Champions League in one location. It kind of reminds me of like a Club World Cup. But the issue is, like I was saying, how does I think other clubs are at a more advantage as opposed to PSG because they're playing competitive matches for literally 2 weeks before, 2 months before Paris starts. But also,
but we're talking about PSG. We're talking about PSG.
PSG has Kylian Mbappe, Neymar. So that also in itself is going to be, those boys are ready to play whenever. Like, whenever they're called on, they're going to play.
I always say you never lose your touch in football. You can stop playing for a while, but if you're a great, I truly believe that you don't lose your touch. So those guys may not have been playing as many games as some of their other opponents, but they're going to bring it.
Yeah, for sure.
They're going to bring it. I wish we could see it live. Oh my gosh, I wish. Yeah. Because I'd be like this, like cheering them on in the stands, like, come on, but we'll be watching from home, I guess.
Now, one league you want to touch on that ended?
So when we spoke about the English Premier League, unfortunately, the Women's League in England has decided to cancel their season. I know. It's such a bummer. Yeah. So the Barclays Football Association Women's Super League, as well as their Champions League, decided to cancel. So the winner of the Champions League so far was Aston Villa, who then ended up getting promoted to be a part of the top clubs of the Women's Super League. However, a club had to be demoted and regulated, and which unfortunately was Liverpool. And so many people have different mixed reviews. They're feeling like, well, due to COVID, this shouldn't have happened. But let's keep it real. Even from a point status, Liverpool was nowhere really near there anyway. So, kudos and shout out to Aston Villa. And it's a bummer that they're not, having it, and that they didn't really, I guess you could say fight as hard to end up, playing like they did with the Women's League. But luckily, there is still the National Women's League in America, so I'm excited for that. But unfortunate for the women in England. But I do know that next season they will come back ready to play, and we'll just have to wait and see from there. And especially with the promotion of Aston Villa, I'm excited to see those women play as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. Congrats to Aston Villa for getting promoted. I think that, well, we've seen two sides of the coin, because we've seen in the Dutch division, there was a team that was in the second division, first place team was clear by 12 points. And they were looking like they would get promoted, but the Dutch Football Federation decided that, hey, we're going to cancel the season and rule it null and void. So that team that was in second place didn't end up coming up. And they're going through a lawsuit right now because they're like, hey, we were 11 points clear. We don't get the money from promotion. We don't get the sponsorship money. We don't get the TV deals money that we were expecting to come in. And our boys performed well. So and on the women's side, you have it where they're like, oh, well, the season didn't finish, but hey, one team's going down and one team's coming up. So
exactly,
I think which ruling do I like better? I would say.
Do you think what the FA did was right?
The thing, it's tough. It's really tough, because for me, I don't think what the Dutch Federation did was right. I think personally, if a team's 11 points clear with only a few games left, they're clearly going to win the league, where at least promote one and you relegate the other, because the team that was in last place, they were going to come back out, most likely. I think relegating one team is fair in that instance, especially when they only had, I think, 8 or 9 games to go. So now we have to look at it from this standpoint, where it's like those guys who fought for promotion thought they would get promoted. That club was expecting to play in the higher division next year and get all that money that comes with it. That's now null and void. So it's like those players missed out. But also you have to feel bad for, on the women's side, the team that got relegated didn't have a chance. Liverpool didn't have a chance to fight back. And
because their points per game was and then you have to also keep in mind too, a lot of their star players were not renewing contracts. So there were some players who didn't renew their contract from earlier this year. So it makes you wonder, did they already see it coming?
Exactly.
You know? So it's unfortunate, but next season is going to be better, we hope.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Congrats to Aston Villa for getting that promotion.
Yes.
Be very interested to see how you guys do over in the Prem. But Liverpool, sorry, it's also very interesting because we know Liverpool's such a big name in football that the women's side isn't doing as well. To be fair, Arsenal's women's side is amazing. Arsenal's women's side has won the Women's League for a couple years in Champions League.
Yeah, but even them, they didn't even make, or I think they were probably like the bottom of the top 5. If you want to talk about women's league in England and women that are killing it, top 2, Chelsea, Man City, hands down.
Yeah,
if I were a player,
they're new.
I'm going over there. Arsenal's good, but I'm going over there. I'm going to either Chelsea or Man City. That's just my opinion.
And also West Ham.
Numbers don't lie.
West Ham's good. West Ham's good.
Yeah, West Ham's good as well.
West Ham has a good squad. I like Arsenal's women. They win the Prem a lot.
I like Danielle. Danielle Carter is one of my favorites, so she's awesome.
But everything's up in the wind. It is sad that they didn't get to finish, but I do understand the FA just being like, listen, you guys didn't have it this year. Sorry. Mm-hmm. And Aston Villa did deserve promotion, just like I agree the club in the Dutch league did deserve promotion as well, because those players fought hard and it's nothing that they could control. It's legit nothing they could control.
Exactly. I mean, we wish them all the best. And we are looking forward to seeing some great football next season. And if anything, they'll come back stronger. Liverpool will come back stronger and harder, and Aston Villa, they'll do what they have to do to, show why that promotion was important.
Now, let's talk about this. Just a quick question before we wrap this up. For that Dutch league now, talk about those players that thought they were going up and they may have signed a new contract thinking that they were going to go up. Now the club's staying down. And what about those players that were out of their contract who were like, okay, if we get promoted, I'll re-sign with you. Now, maybe the club that was going to get relegated may sign those guys and be like, hey, help us stay in the league and leave your club that was almost promoted. So very, very interesting.
Very interesting, yes. That's pretty interesting. And as we, talk about women within England and mainly Europe, let's touch a little bit on Ada Heger's boot
Nike deal.
Game-changing deal. Listen, I don't know who's on her team, but she's got a pretty good team, because to be able to be the first to be awarded a 10-year deal worth approximately about $30 million. So it's almost like she's almost going to get like at least maybe $2 to $3 million, or at least $1 million per year. Awesome. I don't know how Nike did it to lure her away from Puma. It was smart. But also, too, I think the biggest thing was that her goals and Nike's goals as far as women in sports and gender equality, it definitely aligned. And she's also one of the best players coming out of Europe, probably one of the best globally within women's football. So it makes sense. I will say, I presently don't represent women footballers, but always looking. But I will say that's a deal that if I were other women footballers, I'd look into that and figure out when it's time to renegotiate my contract. How can I possibly
She
get a
set the
contract
market.
similar to that?
She set the market. Good for
Yeah,
her.
she
We all
definitely
respect
did,
that.
and that's amazing. That's similar to like that lifetime deal of what Ronaldo has, and I think
Yeah. Or
it sets the
LeBron
tone
James.
for
Yeah.
everything, right? And it sets the tone for everything, and it's exciting. So salute to her. Congratulations. So I'm excited. I'm excited,
Yes.
man. Did
But
we cover? Go ahead.
I also do, since we're talking about boots, Puma did steal a player away from Nike also.
Really?
So yeah, so Puma did steal Nicola Pepe, Arsenal's most expensive
Yeah,
player,
right.
from Nike to Puma, which very, very interesting as to why you would make that switch. I'm assuming Puma gave him a pretty penny, to
So they
switch.
gave him a nice bag. They gave him a nice bag,
They
basically.
definitely did, because he's one of Ivory Coast's biggest players. That may have been it, because we know Ivory Coast is a Puma club. I mean, a Puma nation.
Okay,
So
that's true. That's true.
makes sense. And Arsenal is Adidas, so that wasn't helping him out on the sponsorship side.
No.
So
No.
Puma for Nicola Pepe, very interesting. He left the Nike team, but Nike ended up maybe giving his money over to Emma. So
maybe, never know. but salute to Adder for that, because like I said, that's game changing.
It is.
I mean, and as we continue on the topics of Europe and what's happening there, obviously we know La Liga is coming back. Serie A is coming back as well, so that's
La Liga
exciting. They're
came
both.
back.
Well, yes, La Liga came back already. I'm sorry.
Serie
Yeah,
A came
they
back.
did. Serie A came back. Yep. So, they're at least playing now. And then when we bring it, if we bring it back to America, to North America, USL is coming back. Guys, if you remember the last conversation we had, we knew what was happening with the Women's League, but we didn't know what was happening with MLS and USL. So it's exciting that the three top leagues within North America, so from the women's side to MLS, and especially the second division of US soccer, soccer league is coming back, both the championship side as well as the League One.
The only league that was scrapped was USL League 2, which is
and that's unfortunate, but it's going to be a lot of changes happening with USL. Stay tuned for what happens with that, but I'm excited to see those guys play. Of course, I'm always excited because the Trinity 3 family, we have a couple of guys that play in the USL Championship, so I'm super excited. Shout out to those guys and to everyone within the USL organization. Amazing people, and so I'm excited. That's coming July 11th and then July 18th as well. So it's gonna be, July is an interesting month. It's very interesting because there's a lot happening. But I think we're back on track with everything. Like, things are coming. Football is back, slowly but surely, but it's back, and it's exciting, and especially for us as agents, it's just so important that because we miss the game of football. That's our life. Football is life for me. Like, if there's no football, I'm like, oh man, what else am I gonna do? Even though I'm a fan of other sports as well, but we all know football is number one. So I'm excited for all the leagues that have returned already, and the leagues that are coming back. Speaking of another league, Bundesliga, they're champions.
9-time. Alphonso Davies won Young Player of the Year, the Canadian. Congrats to Alphonso. Congrats to Fonzie. Congrats to his team.
Jerome Boateng, I know you're excited. David Alba, those guys, they put on. I watched a couple of their matches, and I was like, wow, they definitely deserved it.
They were dominant. They were dominant.
Yes.
Also, honorable mention. There's been some players linked with Dortmund. I saw the deal was agreed. You want to touch on that?
Well,
Joe Bellingham, supposedly ESPN reported that the deal was done today and he's going to Dortmund. So 20 million they said the deal got done for. Does that
And
mean
he's what, 16?
16? He's 16 years old. 16 years old, 20 million. Dortmund wanted 35. The deal's done. Well, that was his buyout clause. His buyout clause is 35. He expressed he wanted to go to Dortmund, and he wouldn't resign. So I guess they ended up agreeing to 20. So does that mean that somebody else? Also, Manchester United lost out on him, unfortunately.
Listen.
That's big. But they may be getting somebody else in their
so
wing.
So it may be a swap. It may be
a
swap.
domino effect.
Yeah,
it may be a domino effect.
Obviously, we know the hot topic of transfers this summer and this year was is Sancho. So it all depends, because Bellingham going to Dortmund now, it makes me wonder if Sancho's going to stay or if he's going to go to United. And then, I mean, man, that's interesting.
Very interesting, because does Dortmund feel like they can replace him now? We also have news that Leroy Sané is not signing another deal with Man City.
Yes,
that is.
But were you surprised about that?
No. We all know where he's gonna end up going.
Where's he going? I don't know where he's going. Where's he going?
You don't think Bayern Munich supposedly Leroy
Sané
he wants to go back to Bayern Munich. He said he wants to go back to Bayern Munich. He's German. We all know that. Bayern Munich have been interested in him and have placed a couple bids for him last summer that were denied. It's
a lot of switching going on, because there's a rumor that David Alba is looking to possibly make his way to the EPL.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of switching going on.
And he was a childhood fan of Arsenal, so wink,
well,
Arsenal.
I don't know about Arsenal, though. I don't know. I heard through the grapevine it could be United. That's what I heard. But, man, so then that makes me think about since we know that Leroy is out, do you think Man City is going to try to go after another player?
Maybe they try to get Sancho, try to re-sign him. But
yeah, they should try, but I don't.
They could try,
I think that's a waste of time. Or I think you should take your academy guys. You have a great player in Jaden Braith, who, to me, since we know that Leroy is decided to go, move him up to the first team.
That's also true, and we all saw how Phil Foden did. Phil Foden, congrats to him, young star, getting 2 goals yesterday.
Yeah, I think it would make the most sense to do that instead of letting, or unless they want to see Jaden join Bellingham in Bundesliga, and if you do that, that's going to be a league that is going to be a problem.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be a problem
for sure.
But it's exciting. It's exciting, and also too, let's not forget about our guy, and Sue.
Nah, he's brilliant. Honestly, he's brilliant. I think.
Where is Fatih going?
I say he's staying. I think he's gonna stay.
I think so too. I think he's staying as well. I honestly, I can't see him in Bundesliga. Primarily because he has stepped up. He has stepped up in Barca, and I feel like he fits in well. But I don't know. I think he should stay. If it were me, I'd advise him to stay.
I'd advise him to stay. I think that he's at the perfect age, because we have to remember he's only 16 and Messi's 33.
Oh, but 17 now? I think he just turned 17. Yeah, he's like 17 now.
So
still at a good age.
20, Messi may be out of there, and it's all his. And he's the only right-footed winger, really, that can be in the starting 11, because Suarez is in his 30s, Griezmann is left-footed, Ousmane Dembele is left-footed, Lionel Messi is left-footed. So on the on the left side, cutting it on his right, it's really him. Right. And Barca's giving him the freedom to do whatever. So
true. Salute to Messi as well. Happy birthday! Early happy birthday to Messi. Messi's birthday is a couple of days before mine. Yeah. And like, it's weird because we're the same age. It's so weird. But happy birthday, Leo Messi, my fellow Cancerian brother. Happy birthday. So early to the GOAT. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. Definitely. Yeah, but I'm excited to just see what's gonna happen. And Yeah, if I'm Fati, I would stay, and I think he's gonna stay. More than likely, he'll stay. I can't see him leaving right now.
No one's gonna be able to pry that boy away. It's not happening. Not happening.
No.
Not for the money they're offering in this market. It's not happening.
Very true. Very true. Very true. So,
do you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, we've covered some really good topics today, from the EPL, of course. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the National Women's Soccer League is the first major professional sports league to resume in North America this Saturday, June 27th. Tune into CBS to see it, to watch the Challenge Cup.
And Twitch both.
Oh, Twitch as well, yes.
US,
yes, Twitch as
you're
well.
Outside of the US and Canada, all of the
absolutely.
games are on Twitch.
Yes, and so I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see MLS return. Once again, kudos to Justin Morrow and the rest of the guys that started the Black Players Coalition. Kudos to the USL for getting it right as far as just finding a way for the players to be able to play again. Definitely, just kudos to, of course, my guys at PSG for going back into training and being ready and killing it. Just their presentation alone was amazing. I was like, okay, they back. They had the nice mask on and everything. I was trying to put in my order for a couple of those, but kudos to those guys. I'm excited for Champions League for that. And then, of course, as we mentioned before, La Liga and all of the other leagues that have returned. It's exciting. We're happy. And guys, it's been a pleasure. It's been a
Football
pleasure. Nate, you want to say anything else? Football is back.
Football
MLS is black.
MLS is black. And we are the Inside Agents. And thank you guys for joining us and tuning in to Inside Football. We will be back next month for a very important month and very special month for us, that are going to bring you some great topics with some great special guests. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. So we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.